Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Yogi Valley YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me today. So today, talking about why do I still feel empty even when life is going well, and that's a very interesting phenomena that people find themselves in, even when on the exterior it seems that life is perfect and you've got everything that you've strived for, you've achieved your goals. There's this really interesting emptiness that comes over you when actually you've achieved safety sometimes. um, and there are a few reasons that this happens to sort of humans in our lives when we reach our goals. Um, the first one, honestly, starts at a very young age. From a very young age, we are led to believe, through no real nefarious reason, like it's not some plot to keep you like this. It's a good way to keep you motivated, really. It's sort of like the carrot in front of the horse, right? Like, to lead you to believe that happiness is just round the corner. Like, whatever you're doing, it will lead you into a better sort of future imminently. That's kind of how we go about our lives for a lot of the time when we're younger. So from something as simple as, like, finish your dinner and you can have pudding, to like, oh, if you do well at secondary school, then you'll get into college. And then if you do well at college, then you get into uni. If you get into uni, you get a good job. You get a good job. And it's just this endless thing where, as humans, our excitement and our sort of focus is always future based, right? On achieving the next thing and garnering this and suffering now for the heaven later. So then there's this really interesting thing that happens when we arrive at the destination, because we have been traveling and we have been trying to get somewhere this entire time, sometimes at the behest of the present moment. Quite often, we have this culture of suffering now for joy later. Um, and what this does is it kind of damages our relationship with the now. If we always believe that happiness and that our sort of salvation is just around the corner, we don't know how then to enjoy it, because this always projecting to an imagined future. How does one then turn that off when you arrive at the future? And especially if you've got to that imagined future by sort of means of, like, kind of ignoring the now, it means that you've got a damaged relationship with this moment. So it's not that you need to fix your future, it's that you actually need to fix your relationship with the now so you can enjoy your future. So it happens, not just on this kind of micro level, like of like us, but, like, even the most famous rich people sort of get that to a way higher degree. Because at least if you're sort of relatively, if you're still sort of struggling financially and stuff like that, at least then you can think, oh, but if I had money, then I'd be happy. And Jim Carrey famously said, I wish everybody could be rich and famous for a day, so they knew that it didn't change anything. And it must be devastating to get to the very top of your perceived world and to look around at the top of the mountain and still feel that, oh no, it's not worked. And that's why so many of these famous people and rich people get addicted to drugs or end up being kind of unalived. Like, it's the most harrowing thing when you've been on this journey for so long and then actually the arrival didn't solve the issue. But the good news is, if you're not rich and famous, you don't actually need to go through all that and get to the top and realize that that's not going to solve it. What can solve this fascination with an imagined future is simply returning to the now. And the now doesn't mean your life situation now. You know, like you might think, well, I'm not happy with my now. I don't like my job. My boss is a dickhead. Like all of these different things. And that is the situation of your life, right? That's kind of situational. What's what some like occasionally plays out in life. But when I talk about the now and what we understand the now as is the real micro level of now. So just feeling your breath, feeling the muscles in your face relax, listening to the sounds around you, feeling your shoulders soften a bit. And what can you see? And all of a sudden you drop in to the reality of existence, whereby you are just a human sitting or standing somewhere, maybe listening to this, maybe doing an action, maybe driving. But you know, if you are under a roof, above you is just infinite sky and space. You know, and when you drop into the now, you drop into the depth of life, and you're not so concerned with the past and future. The past and future is like the surface of life that you skim across, and if you only ever know the past and future, you're kind of like a rock being like skimmed across the surface of a lake. But there's this infinite wealth of depth below the surface. But we're so busy traveling a lot of the time to this future. If I could just get across the lake. So the invitation is actually to stop, to begin to almost lay back in the lake like it was the Dead Sea. And what is surprising and what you are not told when you're young, because it's not... it's not conducive for getting kids and adults to do things, is if you were to be told that actually if you stop and if you do lay back and if you do relax, you will just float and you will be carried so gently to wherever you're meant to be. So the trick actually to get into where you need to go is not to be kind of rowing fiercely, because you might be rowing against what the universe has planned as well. Like you might have this kind of idea in your head of where you want to go, and you might be rowing against the current, right? So the best thing that you can really do in life is to set a sail, is to be in your boat, put up a sail and just say, take me, and just be ready for the journey. But by always striving to be somewhere, by always thinking just if we get to May, if we're like after Christmas, in the new year, when the kids move out, if there's always this barrier to your happiness, you will never find it. And even if you get there, you might be disappointed because you've got a fundamental problem with your relationship with the now, and there is something to be said for, if you are in a negative life situation, for changing that, of course. But that action and true, real action always has to come from that place of presence. It has to come from understanding and from a peaceful place, and that's where lasting change can happen. And even if you have to call on the ego a little bit and fake it till you make it to get to where you want to go, there needs to be the discipline that the ego takes you to the dance, but then presence does the dancing. If ego takes you to the dance, then ego carries on doing the dancing, then you're in trouble big time. So better off just to go to the dance with presence. So I hope this helps, guys. If you've got any questions, if you've got anything that you'd like me to talk about in these videos, then please drop it in the comments below. Thank you for listening to me. Have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you very much.